Thanks, Teresa. I'm so happy to be here. This is really a great conference so far, and I'm really honored to have been part of this group since the first conference back in 2007. And when I went to put together this talk, I was quite surprised that that was the only time I've spoken to this group about Tahoe yellowcress. So that was surprising to me. I conducted my first survey on Tahoe yellowcress all the way back in 2001, so I've obviously got a ton of data, and there's no time to go into any of that. Really, I'm just gonna give you a broad overview of what we've been doing and tell the story of how we got Tahoe yellowcress removed as a candidate for the endangered species list and why that's a good thing. So the species, Roripa subumbellata, it was first collected by Green at Lake Tahoe sometime before 1891, and he called it sinuata, which is a widespread species in the western United States. The oldest herbarium specimens go back to 1906, and also 1909, a collection from Alice Eastwood. And it was considered sinuata until Reed Rollins took up the matter and called it subumbellata in 1941. And unlike the monkey flower, it's not quite as attractive. So, it's easy to overlook. Tahoe yellowcress co-occurs at Lake Tahoe with the western cress, Roripa curviciliqua. And you can see here that their growth forms are quite different. Tahoe yellowcress has a much more spreading growth form and fat fruits, whereas curviciliqua has a tufted, mounded growth form and these elongated fruits. And another difference is that as Roripa curviciliqua ages, it really turns purple, and Tahoe yellowcress doesn't do that at all. And these are just some cool pictures of the seeds up close from the Rancho Santa Ana Botanic Garden. It's a very prolific seeder. Each one of the little pods will have like 40 seeds in it. Conservation concerns arose in the 1970s after the very prolific and extensive development of the Lake Tahoe Basin in the 1960s, particularly the installation of the Tahoe Keys in the mid-60s, which effectively removed about 2/3 of Lake Tahoe's wetland. That's not part of the good news, of course. It appeared on the very first rare plant inventory that CNPS put out in 1974, and also appeared on the Smithsonian Institute's list that same year, the first nationwide inventory of rare plants. It's been considered endangered in California since 1982 and critically endangered in Nevada since that same year. It was first placed on the endangered species list in 1980, then it was taken off, and then it was put back on again in 1999, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Okay, so the thing that's special about Tahoe yellowcress, of course, is that the only place it grows in the entire world is Lake Tahoe. And it is the only species in the Sierra Nevada that's known from only a single lake bed. Here we have 55 survey sites around the lake, and then the state line, it should be on here, but it goes like this, right? Nevada is over to the right-hand side of the screen, to the east. On this, the green is public lands, and the pink is privately owned lands. And over 80% of the basin is publicly owned, mostly by the Forest Service. And before I tell you a little bit more about Tahoe yellowcress, I'm just going to give you a little information about Lake Tahoe, because it is a reservoir. The first dam was constructed in 1870 as part of a private timber crib, and then it was reconfigured in the early part of the last century to its current configuration in 1913. And what it did was add 6 feet of storage above the natural rim, which is at 6223 feet, and the LTD is Lake Tahoe datum, so it's feet elevation above sea level. And the Bureau of Reclamation established a legal limit of 6229.1, and it can't get very much higher than that. It has gone higher than that. In 1997, the floods of 97 in January, it did get higher than that. But if it gets much higher than that, it's in people's living rooms, basically. So That's its upper limit. Okay, so I do have two data slides. This is our extensive survey data set. The yellow bars are the percent of occurrences of Tahoe yellowcrest in each given survey year, and then the blue line here is the elevation of Lake Tahoe, going from 62.22 up to 62.28. This is in September. We usually conduct our surveys around the first week of September. It's in full flower then, and it's the best week of the year at Lake Tahoe because everyone's gone. It's after Labor Day. It's still full summer, and so it makes it easier that there's not a lot of people on the beach for us. And the first thing to notice, of course, is that we have a very long data set. It goes all the way back to 1979. The title of my talk says 14 years of adaptive management and collaboration. That just dates back to when the first conservation strategy was finished in 2002. But people have been, started, the first Forest Service botanist, he wasn't the official botanist. The Forest Service at Lake Tahoe didn't get an official botanist until 2001. But he started a survey protocol. His name was Charles Knapp. And then people from the Nevada Heritage, Nevada Native Plant Society did quite a lot of the early surveys in the early 80s. So this has been a very long-going process. The other thing to notice here is that when the level of the lake is high, here, the number of Tahoe yellowcrest populations tends to be very low. That's of course because of the geometry of the filling basin, higher lake levels, less beach habitat. And when you turn it into a line, it's very dramatic. And the Spearman rank correlation on this is 87. That's how strong the relationship is. So that sorry about that. There's way less Tahoe yellowcrest as the lake gets higher. And to illustrate the point, this is the Upper Truckee Marsh. Here we have, this is September, this is a high lake level. So in that year, earlier when the lake peaked in July, in a high water year it'll typically peak in July. In lower water years it peaks in the beginning of June. It was eroding into the meadow there. And then this, I don't know why I don't have a September picture on here, but later in September then there's even another berm usually that forms out further, so there's a lot of habitat. The beach gets very, very wide, and there can be a lot of plants out there. I wanted to go back to this slide because it was when the lake stayed high for a protracted period from 1995 to 2000 that the populations got critically low and people became concerned that it might be on the brink of extinction. So that was when it was put back on the endangered species list as a candidate in 1999. And it's kind of interesting because when the first conservation strategy was written in 2000, there was this very nice cyclic pattern, and since then it's kind of gone like that. And we did switch to an adaptive survey strategy where we don't survey 2 years in a row now if the lake stays low because we essentially collect the exact same data. So we only survey every year if it's high water because the populations are more imperiled then. So it was the threat of federal listing that brought together a group of stakeholders around Lake Tahoe in 1999, and they brought Bruce Pavlik to the table to write the first conservation strategy. And it's been implemented with an MOU with these 13 signatories, state agencies from California, state agencies from Nevada, the League to Save Lake Tahoe is an activist group, a watchdog group, and then also significantly the Tahoe Lakefront Owners Association. So there was a private property group has been at the table since the very beginning of the development of the conservation strategy, which is a critical piece. Because a lot of times, it ends up just being agencies. So the first conservation strategy was adopted in 2002, as I said, implemented with an MOU, and it really specifies an adaptive management strategy, and it laid out a framework of goals and objectives, and it had a lot of data analysis in it, which I unfortunately don't have time to get into. The Adaptive Management Working Group is at the center of the process, and this structured flow of information is really critical for outlining what everybody's roles and responsibilities are. The AMWAG has met quarterly since 2002, conducted research, management, the surveys, and making recommendations up to the executives where there's executive oversight. Bruce Pavlik, right after the first conservation strategy was finished, started this process of developing a key management question framework in order to focus science on the data gaps and management issues that would most closely address the conservation goals and objectives in the conservation strategy. So the Adaptive Management Working Group, the AMWAG, got together and brainstormed. I think they came up with 65 questions and then went through a process of distilling it down to 5 questions that would be most useful for management and help direct the science. And these 5 questions did drive the research program, which began in 2003 and carried all the way through to 2010. We installed over 10,000 container-grown plants on the shores of Lake Tahoe at over 14 different sites. And again, of course, I have a lot of data, but the summary of what we learned is the first thing we had to do was learn how to grow it in the greenhouse. And it's a mustard, it's a prolific cedar, it's super easy to grow in the greenhouse, so that's unusual. A lot of rare plants are not so easy to grow. It would spill out of the containers and germinate on the floor. And we learned that the most important quality of a plant is, of course, to get good root development, because what Tahoe yellowcress needs when you put it in the sand at Lake Tahoe is to get its roots into the water table of Lake Tahoe, and so then it has a much better chance of establishing. And again, the water conditions are most optimal at when the lake is right peaking. So if you plant it too early, the lake can rise and inundate your plants. That happened to us the first year. So it really is putting it on an elevation of the beach where you have the most shallow depth to the water table. TYC really likes to grow in these shallow swales at creek mouths where the creeks come out and cut through the beach. We also did experimental translocation where we dug up plants. We first started with container-grown plants and then moved forward with naturally occurring plants. And it turned out that it works just fine with Tahoe yellowcress, but actually you get more bang for your buck if you use a container-grown plant because the soil tube retains the moisture, and the translocation is essentially bare root method because you dig it up out of the sand and all the substrate falls off. The container-grown plants, when we did the side-by-side comparison, could grow 3 times as big in optimal habitats. And it has been used in only one project. There was a stormwater erosion project since then, and they did dig up the plants, put them in the greenhouse, and then planted them back out. So that was the way that worked out. Another thing we've done is we've developed a lot of education and outreach materials. In any year, at least 50% of the sites are on private property. So stewardship of private landowners is incredibly important to the persistence of the plant. We developed a glossy brochure that's been distributed by agencies and at kiosks. We did this back in 2009, and they're still in circulation. We developed a website which is in need of update, but you can go there and find out more about the research. And also, it's a way to get involvement and participation in the Stewardship Program, which we also started in 2009. It's a voluntary program that was mostly implemented by the Nevada Tahoe Conservation District to get owners to implement habitat protection. So here's some examples of some things that some owners have done, putting little rocks and twigs around the plants. And this is the sign that we put up. And then also, plants are available. Landowners have actively outplanted Tahoe yellowcress on their property. Weed removal and restrict beach raking, that's a big problem. People rake the beaches, they rake the pine cones and the needles and all the plants off it. People think of a beach and they want it nice and clean. So that's one of the impacts. And there are permits that have been issued for certain improvement districts to drive bulldozers over the lake in certain areas. So there's certain areas where Tahoe yellowcress won't ever occur. And then to the great news, we started a process to back in 2013, the original MOU expired, and so we revised that, made a new MOU, started the process to revise the conservation strategy, and decided that we needed a whole new conservation strategy. And the new conservation strategy was approved in October of 2015, at the same time that the Fish and Wildlife Service removed it from the candidate list. Remember these guys? I just wanted to throw in a little bit about the money and where all the money came from for this, because there's a lot of money has been put into Tahoe yellow cress. And it was the Lake Tahoe Restoration Act back in 2000 allocated $300 million. It expired, and it has passed the Senate, the new bill from 2015, put forth by Reed and Feinstein. Who knows what's going to happen next, but, and then another source of funding was the Sierra Nevada Public Lands Management Act, had poured also a ton of money into Lake Tahoe from the sale of lands around in Clark County. So a lot of money was available for a lot of restoration projects up in Lake Tahoe, but both of these sources have since dried up. And Sarah, I really wanted to give a huge shout out to Sarah, who unfortunately couldn't make it because she's sandbagged in Reno, but she has been a really huge proponent of the project lately, and I just want to thank all the members of the AMLAG over there, and I just wanted to leave you with Tom Selleck, because somebody posted this on Facebook a little while ago and it just made me smile. So thank you very much, everyone.